So when you have access to the international supply chain, which you can import it, add it and export it, then your exports will grow further. For example, today a shirt which I am wearing, my buyer might say I need a fabric from Taiwan, cotton from China, get it stitched in Vietnam, and then give it to me. As long as I am making money, why shouldn't I do it? And if I say, no, I am very, that's why I deal with Gandhi. I said, Gandhi said that if I need the clock for precision, and that's the demand, I'll have the clock from England. So this study shows that wherever, that's it, culinary trade measured in value added terms show that almost 30% of the total trade consists of re-exports of intermediate products. So 30% is almost re-export of intermediate products. So if you have access to the international supply chain, the likelihood of your trade going up is much higher. Alright, I will not take much of your time now because these are many, but anyway, that's why I said the efficient sourcing of intermediate input is crucial for a country's export competitiveness. That's the hypothesis, that's the theorem which I wanted to establish. Okay. Now I will not go, this is what it says, demography, sir has pointed out, demography, how it affects exports, investment, how it affects exports, technology, how it does. This is one which I'll very quickly go through because I will not take much of your time. I have to come to my last segment, so I'll just go through this. As we all said, we would like to go and export in a country where our planes are not shot down, like Ukraine, where there is a political stability. We would also like to go to a country which is not a maverick country. What happens in a maverick country? Let's say, for example, a country where the inflation rate is very high, 100%. What will happen? You will send your letter of credit. You are aware about letter of credit, no? You will send your money there. They will park your money in the bank. They will earn interest in 3 months. In 3 months, it will go double, triple your money, and then they will give you the supply. They will not give you, by the time your entire requirement ends. So you would not like to go to a country where it's not economically stable. So these are the countries which have, this is one thing which I always, which in fact Gandhi has said, but let me, what will you do in an industrial developed country? What will you normally, like USA, Germany, Japan, you would like to export something which is labor intensive, garment, leather, industrializing countries, Brazil, Hong Kong, machinery equipment to set up new industries, raw material exporting countries, food products, transport equipment, underdeveloped countries, railway, road, building, power transmission equipment, alright, but there are exceptions to that also. What is the exception? Like we are from an organization called Directorate General of Foreign Trade. What is our aim? We need to handhold you also and say that what is the best way that you can export? What is the best way you can do? We give incentive, but that's also one of our role. In the same way, in Japan, there is an organization called MITI, M-I-T-I. So when Japanese were going to America, they said, what should you do? So they all said, I said, we will go and compete in automobile and computer section. So the exporter said, what the hell? The Ford is the most established brand there. Apple is the most established brand there. You are going to get into a brand which is well established. You can't do it. Let's go. What? I am saying labor intensive, garment, leather. No, we'll go in that sector. Profit is very high. But how will we go? In management, there is a term called bottoms up strategy. Have you heard that? Bottoms up strategy. What is bottoms up strategy? Go in a segment where profit may not be very high, competition may be less. So what did they do? They went into a segment, for example, in automobile, they started making Honda car, motorcycle. So they were not interested. In computers, they started making personal chips. They were interested. And then rest is the history. Most of them are now the master both in the hardware, software, and automobile. So if you have the competence, you know your strength, you set aside my theory, you set aside the other theory, and you say, I'm going to this segment because I know I can do there. The gut feeling, the heart has to speak there. So you go by your heart, what your heart says, where you can do that. And then you feel that you have an extreme competitive advantage. These are the social factors of commercial factors. These are the things which you need to see, government interface, exports. Earlier, it was never our duty to go and produce. Why we are here? We want at least some of you take the lead and be an exporter. Come back to us. Discuss this thing which you are trying to set up. And that's why we are Niryat. But earlier it was unheard of. We will sit in the office, we will do the regulatory work, and we will be very happy about it. Now we have to go with the exporters, have a drink with them, and tell me, buddy, what is your problem? The entire thing has changed. So the government, the permit license restrictions have gone away. And the government initiative has come to a separate part. Now I'm coming to the third part of my presentation, which is marketing. You all have, I'm just trying to touch here and there. I'll go into detail because there are presentations, इसके पीछे भी ढेर सारे slides हैं, which I have hidden most of them. So I'm just going to try to tap you to find out कि कहाँ पे आपका interest हो सकता है, which part might interest you. You know the 4 P's, you are aware about it, 4 P's. You know, Coca-Cola first came to China. It was given a Chinese name that sounded very familiar. It made bite the wax tadpole. It flopped. You know, Jolly Green Giant. It has Arabic integrating green object. You know, that's a nauseating character. You know, that flopped. You know, this is what Chevrolet, and it was named what? Nova in Venezuela, which in Spanish means doesn't go. The arrogance of the supplying country need to be set aside. That's why I said that physical presence and visibility in an international trade is very, very important. You know, when we see in Western culture, you know, the yellow is a bright cherry. But in Germany, it's yellow is associated with enemy. Latin America, it's associated with death. So you can't have one standard, even the color which you are sending to different countries, because it denotes or connotes different meanings, it conveys to them. The moment they will see this, it will convey to them this. I'll give you some more examples. Red is good in China, but in our country also, and elsewhere also, it means danger, in Western country, danger. So you know, so this is not really color. What is this? An American will have a big whooper, you know, so that he can, in France, that is in his country, when it was introduced, it can feed the two. They didn't like it. They said that half of it we have to throw away in the dustbin. So in France, they have to reduce the size to be successful. So if you see, the American whooper is much larger than a French whooper. I'm trying to point out the sensitivity of international marketing, which your professors are going to teach you in greater detail. I'm just trying to touch upon it. And in fact, I will not go into much detail. You know that labeling, then you know that weight, you know that bilingual label, unit package. You know what is in some countries, in West, 7 is lucky, 13 is unlucky. In Japan, 4 is the sure sign of death. So if I have a packaging which has 4 units, it means it's not going to work. So you know, I will just skip this now. Packing material and all, these are important parts. You know, how will you label guarantee, warranty, product. Pricing, I'm not going to again go uniqueness, quality, because I have less of a time. I'll come to the straight part. Is it a unique thing? How desperate you are? What is the competition? Additional SWOT analysis. I'm just going to go. Now I'll come to this. What I'm going to do is that I'm not going to get into the entire thing. I will just try to make you understand what it is. Funda clear karna hai aapka. Once your funda is clear in this, I'm going to leave it. I will not even go through my presentation. But you must understand what this is. There are 3 hypotheses on which the entire policy is made. First hypothesis is that the exporters are good boys and good girls. That's the first hypothesis. That is the trust. Second hypothesis, which is very important, is that they need to be given as much incentive as much possible, provided we have WTO sitting there. They say this policy is WTO inconsistent. We do not get into the WTO problem. That is part 2. Part 3 is that no taxes, no levies need to be exported. That's what we say, only goods and services are exported, not the taxes or the levies. 3 फंडा समझ में आ गया है? चौथा फंडा क्या? What is the 4th फंडा? 4th funda is that we will give you access to the international supply chain without paying any duty. These are the 4 fundas. Now let me explain this last part. Let me explain this. Or is part with Dheeraj, I'll explain it little slowly, because you need to understand this is the crux of the whole policy. When you are trying, let's say you are trying to export this, then what will you do? Sum of the part you have to import. So you would say that you need to import these plastics, now this color, X, Y, Z, free of duties. Cost you have to pay. So what we will do is that we'll say that, all right, you import these items, make value addition, and export it further. While you import it, you will not have to pay the duty. As sir has explained, this is the chapter 4. So you have access to duty-free inputs. Now, for example, you have to make this. You will say, for example, 1 kg is required in this. You import 3 kg. Why? Because you sell it off in the market. So somebody needs to say that for this, what all inputs are required. And only that input you can import. If those inputs you can import duty-free, then somebody needs to tell you that what is the input required. So what we call in this is standard input output norms. There is a standard input output norms. That is that for importing one product, these are the inputs which you can import duty free. But what is going to international market is changing. You would say that, all right, I want in this a little mustaches also attached, because that's more creative. So I will say, oh well, I have not fixed norms for this. You will say, I can't wait till you fix the norm. So what will you do? I will tell you, go ahead and import it. You just tell us that this is what, and you fix your norm yourself. In case I fix the norm within 3 months, and some of the imported material is in excess, to pay the duty. So we have the trust, that's the part 2. Now, third is in this only, inputs. You see, sir, I don't like your face. After you are a government servant, I can't come every time to you and say that, please fix the norm, please do this. I said, so I'll come once in a year. Diwali ke Diwali settle karne ke liye. So that's known as annual. If you have certain inputs, certain imports, based on that we give you entitlement. That keep importing, keep using, keep exporting, settle it at the end of the year. That's the annual DFIA. I'll explain it further. Is that clear, Panda, about the raw material?
Yes, sir.
No confusion? No. This is the basis of entire what we call chapter 4 or what we call advanced license. Alright? Now I'll come to chapter 5. What is chapter 5? You have to make this. How do you make this?